everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's very early in the morning, a little bit of a spontaneous film just because originally I wasn't going to film this video. I know everyone's been going through it this year and my problems are not the worst in the world, you know, and I didn't want it to be a bit of like a pity party. And then I originally got this like inspirational idea to do this video listening to Michelle Reed podcast, and I had been thinking about it for a while, and then since then I feel like the universe has been throwing me different videos and different influencers who have kind of spoken about the same thing and been like, people are going through this, you need to talk about it. So that's what we're going to do here today, but I'm also really conscious that I don't want this just me to it's already started. I don't want this just to be me rambling, so I have come up with a list of really useful tips and tricks, or like advice I guess, of what I've done to kind of shake it off, but also so that you actually get some value from this video and some really practical takeaways in case you are experiencing something of the same sort, which I'm sure we all are at some degree. But I thought I would start this video by giving a little bit of context, a little bit of background in case this is the first video that you've clicked on my channel. But if you didn't know, hi, my name's Amber. I'm a 2020 graduate. I went to the University of Greenwich for 4 years studying events management and was supposed to graduate in April of 2020, and I had kind of like an ideal job lined up. I had literally gone to the interview the week before lockdown was announced, and the Monday lockdown started I got a call that was like, oh well, you would have got it, but we're not hiring anymore. Which in my naive mind, you can go back and watch my like graduate 2020 Q&A and things, I was like, you know, I'm sure this is only going to last a couple months and the events industry will be back up and running, which I'm sure it will eventually, but as for right now that isn't happening. And originally I didn't really think much of it, the fact that my graduation had been postponed until 2021. I was just kind of, it was the peak of summer, it just felt like summer holidays, like come September I'll be going back to uni, or I'll be doing something else, or I'll get a job in a couple of months. And that didn't happen until August. I think I got a job as a nanny, so obviously not using my degree whatsoever, kind of a plan B option. Really great role, well paid, enjoy what I do, very flexible and everything like that, so it does have a lot going for it. But I think that was the moment, like come August time, when I saw my savings dropping down, and I wasn't writing essays and I wasn't doing any of that anymore. I feel like the normal graduation experience of either not having a job post graduation was heightened by the fact that I was also in lockdown, so I couldn't distract myself with very many things, I guess. And I think starting my nannying job come August, September, I found it really difficult, and I think that was because I've been in education all my life. Like, I've never had a gap year, never had a break. I went from primary school to secondary school to A-levels to uni. So that's what, like 14 years of my life or something spent in education. And I don't think I realised how big of a part of my identity I put on being a student, as well as in the sense that, this is going to sound really annoying, but I am someone who likes to do well and achieve high marks, and I really do put a lot of pressure on myself to be that person or to be one of the best or what have you. And I really put more emphasis than I realised, I think, on the praise and getting the marks back and seeing all the comments and the feedback. Like, that to me was a huge thing. Again, did not realise this until I was out of it. So becoming a nanny and doing the same thing every day, knowing that I'm not handing in an assignment by the end, or I'm not working towards an event, or I'm not working towards like a career jump or the next goal, in the sense like you're a nanny, you can't really like progress in that role, was really hard for me. And I had like multiple breakdowns to my boyfriend, just like, I don't know, just trying to wrap my head around the fact that there wasn't an end goal anymore. Like, this was it, like this is life now, you just have to kind of deal with it. And I think lockdown definitely emphasise that, because obviously I couldn't go into a role to do with the industry that I wanted, but so have a lot of people. Like, all of my uni friends and stuff are all doing plan B because plan A isn't possible right now. And I just felt like my life had been put on hold, which for me as a planner, as someone who likes to be organised and think things through and always like visualize what my life is going to be like, I guess, I found that really hard because I hate saying it, but I am a bit of a control freak, and the fact that everything was suddenly out of my control, I think it was a really good wake-up call, but I also think I found it really hard to readjust and kind of swallow that pill, which is why I think initially I was so like, oh, it's only going to last a couple of months, because I think I knew deep down that's all I could deal with. So yeah, that's kind of my situation. I'm sure, let me know if you've had any of those experiences as well. And I'm now going to get into some of my tips and advice for how I shook it off and found I don't know, calm in the quiet, and kind of picked myself back up, I guess, and got excited about what I'm doing right now, rather than being like, well, in a few months I can do this, well, in a few months I can do that, and just really trying to be present and still enjoy 2020. The thing that scares me the most is when people say oh, you're as young as you're ever going to be right now, and I don't want to be 60 thinking, oh, in my early 20s I didn't do anything, or I just spent 2020 feeling sorry for myself, which I know is a lot of people's experience, and we are all going through it together. But I wanted to find ways and techniques and different ways, there's no other word, to shake it off and pick myself back up and get back on it. So I wanted to share those with you, just so that this video does have a bit of value, but also I feel like it's really good to share these kind of things, just so people out there who maybe don't have any siblings or don't have any friends going through the exact same thing know that you're not alone. Everyone's going through it in some degree, way, shape or form, so we're all in it together. So I just wanted to share it with you, and I also feel like it's a little bit of a weight lifted off of my mind or heart or whatever to be able to share it with you, because it was something I had been thinking about for a very long time. But let's get into the tips and tricks. I've also got my phone plugged in, and my charger cable is ridiculously short, so this could be a struggle. Okay, so not really sure how to start this. I feel like if you're in the kind of headspace that I was describing about, just looking forward to the future, not enjoying right now, feeling a little bit glum or dull, or you don't have that zest for life that you normally do, I think you need to try and identify what you're missing. So first question, what do you feel like you're missing out on? So by not having your plan A life or plan A situation, what about that life or that situation do you feel like you're missing out on? So for me personally, I felt like I was missing out on a sense of accomplishment. I think that was my biggest thing. Yes, it's great that I'm looking after these two gorgeous boys, and Alex has learned how to walk whilst I'm there, and he's learning how to talk and all these things. So there are accomplishments, but obviously they're his accomplishments, not necessarily things that I've put loads of work into. So I'm not going to take those from him. He's doing pretty well, but I needed my own accomplishments. That was the biggest thing that I was missing, and it's the biggest thing that I focused on throughout my internship and throughout my university and my degree, was all these small accomplishments along the way, which is just something that I felt I was now missing. So then the second question, what would you have felt if you had that? Now this is basically just to test whether the thing you've identified in your first question, so accomplishment, what emotion would that give you? And if that emotion is what you feel like you're lacking right now, maybe you've identified the right thing. If the emotion you say is something that you feel on a day-to-day and you're like, oh, that doesn't really make much sense, you probably need to identify a different area of your life, I guess. But for me, accomplishment gave me a sense of pride and enjoyment, and challenge being the key one. Did not realise how much I appreciate being challenged and growing and learning from that. So they were kind of the things that I felt I was missing out on in my current role and current situation. Then you have to ask yourself the hardest question, and the question that I found the most difficult, which was, is there another part of your life or a project that you could get that feeling from? Now, this is hard to wrap your head around, because you have to admit something that right now in your life is not going to plan or not going as you want, and you have to kind of readjust and readapt again. Like I said, readapt, that's not a word, is it? And adapt. Like I said, an area I struggle with, having planned out the next 20 years of my life, and something that I need to kind of lay off doing, because it's obvious now it's not within my control. But where could you input that? So for me, it's gonna sound stupid or silly. I hate the word stupid, that's such a trigger word for me, because it's gonna sound silly, but I started embroidering, learning a new skill challenging myself. It was something I could do whilst the kids were asleep having their nap. I could have like an hour to do it. I started off by just getting a starter kit, in the sense like they have a template on it and they give you all the string and all the needles and things that you're going to need. But it was a challenge. Like I had to learn new techniques of sewing and new ways to do it, and slowly but surely I could see the final piece coming together, and when it's finished I get that sense of accomplishment. Like, I did that, I spent hours on it, it was a struggle, I messed up in places, I had to restart in places, but I did it. And I think that is obviously very small scale. It's not me going to be like, oh, I got a first in my degree. Huge accomplishment. No one's going to have that every year of their life, unless you're very ambitious. I don't want to say never, but unlikely. So by me converting this sense of accomplishment to a small hobby that I can do without having to hugely change my daily routine or daily life, it was just, I think, the first step to having a small sense of accomplishment of which I can build on, and by introducing new things and new hobbies. So maybe there's, I don't know, a certain cooking program or an exercise program, or seeing your friends and family if you can, that will spark something that you feel like you've been missing. Another thing I found really helpful was journaling about it. Now, I know this is like a almost like trendy now to like journal, but for me, I didn't actually write down my journal, which I know some people really enjoy, but I just, again, I didn't want to have to change my daily routine too much, and I already have like 3-4 journals on the go, to be honest, so I didn't want another one. So what I did is, when I was driving to and from work, which is only like a 20-minute journey max, I would talk to myself in the car, kind of like I'm doing right now, just talking to a camera. I would just sit there driving, not looking in the mirror or anything, literally just talking into blank space, and just say what I was feeling, because I knew deep down what I was saying was ridiculous. And I think by hearing the words out loud, I was able to realise, like, Amber, your life isn't on pause. Like, you're still growing your friendships and your connections with this new family and your relationship with Christian. You're in a job, so your work experience is going up. You're in a job, so your pay is going up. Like, you're adding back to your savings. Like, so many other aspects of my life were like doing really well, to be honest. And I was so, I don't know, shoehorned into the mindset through education that if I wasn't achieving anything, if I wasn't getting the best grade, I wasn't doing enough. I wasn't doing it right. I needed to try harder. And obviously, because I wasn't in a career that could progress, or a career that has the standard structure, I guess, to me that meant that I was a failure. And I would feel, if someone asked me what I was doing right now, and I wasn't able to say, oh yeah, I'm doing this assignment, it's going really well, my lecturer thinks this, or oh yeah, I just got this on a test, or oh yeah, I'm just finished my degree. For me to say, oh, I'm a nanny, I brought a lot of shame with that, which I think is ridiculous, but it took me to say it out loud to realise how silly some of the words I was saying were. Yes, they were true, that's how I felt at the time, but by hearing them out loud, or even saying them to a non-judgmental person in your life who's going to be very open, just like a soundboard for you to talk at, you can kind of process the words that have been running around in your mind, because it's very easy to think things, but sometimes saying them out loud is a little bit of a wake-up call and makes you think about why you feel the way you do, or why you're saying what you're saying, and think about the opposite argument. So I would suggest saying it out loud, writing it down, whatever works for you, and just challenging what you've written or what you've said and thinking why, and is that true? I also think staying proactive is really important, and I know this is so much easier said than done, especially if you're feeling in that dim stage and you're like struggling to even like get dressed, you just really can't be bothered. I think being proactive is really important, whether it is through motivation and you can do it and you're just feeling inspired to get crap done, or whether it's through necessity like it was for me. So originally, through the start of lockdown, I was still applying to jobs. I would apply to so many jobs, and I think that was out of motivation because I had just finished my degree. I was super excited to get into the industry and put what I've learned into practice and everything. Come August, September, when I was applying to all of these nannying jobs, it was out of pure necessity because I was burning through my savings so fast. But in saying that, it wouldn't be like, oh, I applied to one job today and it took me 5 minutes. I was being proactive in the sense, like, I had alerts on my email, I was checking the website daily, I was applying to families that may not even be exactly what I was looking for, but may have one aspect that would work for me, or maybe close enough that it would work for me. And I was applying to multiple jobs a day and just really trying to put myself out there and be proactive, so that, I don't know, it always gave me a little energy boost to know that I was achieving something in my day. Again, achievement, accomplishment, it's all happening. I was achieving something in my day, being like, I applied to 10 jobs today. Obviously that's not always possible if there are not that many jobs out there, which we're all feeling as well. But being proactive in whichever way you can about whatever you're doing. Maybe it's reading journal articles or industry magazines about whatever career you're hoping to go into, or maybe it's doing an online course that's going to further your education a little bit and give you a qualification for the job you're interested in. Whatever it is that allows you to use your time, what's the word, productively, or to reach an end goal, I guess, and stay proactive and give you that little sense of accomplishment and a little boost of energy, I think is really important. And whilst it may not always come out of motivation, maybe you're not always the most motivated person, but I think through this period of life it's only natural to feel like that on some days. But whether it's out of necessity, I still think you need to be proud of yourself for doing something, because it's those small accomplishments throughout the day that help you to kind of build up your resilience and kind of get back to normalcy eventually. I'm running out of SD card space. The next one is to take a step back and look at the bigger picture, which I think is why I haven't filmed this video for so long. It's because I did take a step back and looked at the bigger picture, and I didn't lose my job. I was on furlough from being a bar member at the O2, which obviously is still not open. I didn't lose my job. I was in a apartment that I could afford, living with some really great people, and I had all of my friends and family around me, really strong connections that I could rely on to talk to every day if I needed to, but at least check in with them. And stepping back and looking at the bigger picture, I could see and hear about how many people were worse off than me. And I do think it's really difficult, because I think if you think about your problems like that every time, sometimes your problems can feel really small, and then you kind of feel a bit like an imposter, I guess, why am I feeling such strong emotions about such a small problem? But it's all contextual to do with your life experience. So whilst I do think it's really good, you also have to take a little pinch of salt with it. But it just made me feel a bit more comfortable and a bit more grateful for my experience of 2020, or my 2020 situation, because I didn't have to move back home. If things had happened like this last year, I think I definitely would have had to move home, because my rent would have been way too high for me to be able to afford it. So even though this was a shock to the system, to say the least, all of the parts of my life had kind of dropped into place for this to not affect me too badly, which I'm so grateful for, and I would not have realised if I hadn't have taken a step back and looked at the bigger picture. So I think it is really important to do, even just to give you a bit of sanity and to know that, oh, hang on a minute, other people are going through this. I'm not the only one on the planet that feels the way I do. So yeah, definitely try and do it, but again, don't let it devalue your experience or what your emotions are during this time. With that, I feel like you also need to do the reverse, in the sense that you need to take a step back and look at the bigger picture, but with a positive mindset for the future. So rather than the situation you're in right now, which can be really useful, I also think it's important to realise this is just one phase of your life, and how the rest of your life continues is completely up to you. You know, having that sense of motivation, being productive or proactive, talking to people, all of those decisions are up to you, and I think that's really comforting to know. And yes, this has gone on a lot longer than we first expected, and I'm sure it will still go on longer than we expected, but there will be normalcy again, and you will achieve the things you want to achieve and get the things you want to get and work towards the things you want to work towards eventually. My battery just died, so I'm filming on the iPhone, which I haven't done for a very long time, and is also on low battery, but I just had one sentence that I wanted to finish off with, so I don't think it's worth charging my battery. But whilst it can feel like your life is then put on hold, I think it's really nice to know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, is basically what I'm saying, and that you are in control of this, and although you can't control the world's status, the world's living situation, which I've learnt the hard way, you can control your mindset about it, your behaviour day to day, what you want to achieve day to day, what you want to do day to day. And I think taking those little small steps and building towards something bigger in a year's time or whatever is really helpful, and gives me at least a little bit of peace of mind knowing that this is a phase of my life, I'm going to enjoy it the best I can. I know that eventually I'm working towards bigger and better things. So yeah, I really hope this video wasn't too sappy, don't know what the word is, but it was just something that was weighing really heavily on my heart and in my mind, and just something I really wanted to share whilst giving you guys some value about it, and just, I don't know, a little olive branch, I guess, to let you know, like, we're all going through something right now, and you're not weird or strange or silly for feeling the things that you're feeling. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to wrap it up before my phone battery dies. If you did enjoy it, please hit the thumbs up, and feel free to comment down below or DM me on Instagram, literally about anything. And hopefully I'll see you very soon, because I post new videos every Sunday. Bye!